Welcome to Tungal Online Classes. Today we are going to discuss about the concept of Newton's second law of motion. Newton's second law of motion. So already we know that the definition of the Newton's second law of motion. According to the Newton's second law of motion, the rate of change of linear momentum, of a given body is directly proportional to the rate of change of linear momentum of a given body is directly proportional to external force acting on that body. What is the statement of the Newton's second law? The rate of change of linear momentum is directly proportional to what? External force acting on a given body. So here, if we assume the proportionality constant value is equal to 1, so the general expression or the general formula for the Newton's second law is equal to what? F is equal to dp by dt. Here, what is the P denotes? The P will be denoting the linear momentum. So its formula is equal to what? P is equal to m into v. P is equal to what? M into v. So here simply we substitute the value of P in the equation number 1. We will get F is equal to d by dt of m into v. d by dt of m into v. So in the Newton's second law applications, there are two different cases are there. In the case number 1, we assume if the mass of the system is equal to constant or if the mass of the given body is equal to constant. In the case 2, we are assuming that the velocity of the moving object is equal to what? Constant. So here two variables are there. One is the mass is one variable and velocity is the another variable. So here I will write the above equation as, first I am assuming that the mass of the system will be varies. And the speed of the given object is equal to constant. And in the second case, I am assuming that the mass of the system is equal to constant and its velocity will be changes. So the general formula for the force in the case of the Newton's second law is equal to what? F is equal to dm by dt into v plus m into dv by dt. So here case 1 we consider here. So what is the case 1? Case 1, in this case 1 we assume the mass of the given system is equal to constant. If the mass of the given system is equal to constant, its derivative value is equal to what? The derivative of constant value is equal to what? 0. So the expression for the force is equal to F is equal to, what is the general formula here? dm by dt into v plus m into dv by dt. So here if mass will be assumed as a constant, dm by dt value is equal to 0, so that the first term value will be is equal to 0. The expression for the force is F is equal to m into dv by dt. It is also to be written as F is equal to ma. F is equal to what? Ma. So this is the case 1. In the case 1, what we assumed here, the mass of the given system is equal to constant. If the mass of the given system is equal to constant, its derivative value will be equal to what? 0. So the expression for the Newton's second law, general formula what we are using, that is called what? F is equal to ma. Now, in the case 2, I am assuming that the mass of the system is a variable. The mass of the system is a what? Variable. It is also calling as variable mass system. So for the variable mass system, we have to derive the expression for the force. If a mass will be variable, in this case, dm by dt value is not is equal to 0. dm by dt value is not equal to 0. For the variable mass system, we assume the velocity of the system is equal to constant. For the variable mass system, what we have to assume here, the velocity of the system is equal to constant. If the velocity of the system is equal to constant, the rate of change of the velocity is equal to what? 0. The rate of change of velocity value equal to what? 0. Therefore, from the given equation, general equation, so dm by dt into v plus m into dv by dt. So dm by dt value is not is equal to 0. The first term will be as it is, that is the dm by dt into v plus, and here dv by dt value is equal to 0, so that the second term value will be is equal to 0. So the standard formula for the force acting on the force acting on the variable mass system is a very, very important formula. The standard formula for the variable mass system is given by F is equal to dm by dt into V. dm by dt into V. So this is about Newton's second law. Already you know the SI unit of the force is a Newton and its dimension formula is equal to what? ml t power minus 2. And there one small conversion was there. One small conversion is there. What is that? 1 kg weight. So 1 kg weight is also the SI unit of the force. 1 kg weight value is equal to 9.8 Newton. Important one. While in the numericals the conversion is a very, very important. So here 1 kg weight value is equal to what? 9.8 Newton. Sometimes they are given 1 gram weight. 1 gram weight is equal to 1 gram weight is equal to, it is a CGS system, that value is equal to 980 dyne. If it is in the SI system, 1 kg weight value is equal to 9.8 Newton. In the CGS system, 1 gram weight is equal to how much? 980 Newton. So this is simply about Newton's second law. Two formulas we derived here. F is equal to ma. So whenever this formula will be applicable, whenever the mass of the system is equal to constant. Whenever the mass of the system is equal to constant, velocity will be changes. So we have to apply the formula F is equal to ma. Next, variable mass system. Variable mass system means what? Mass will be changes, velocity will be constant. At that time we have to use the formula F is equal to dm by dt into V. It is the formula for the variable mass system. These are the conversion. 1 kg weight is equal to 9.8 Newton and 1 gram weight is equal to how much? 980 dynes. Now, we are going to discuss some of the applications of the Newton's second law. Some of the applications of the Newton's second law. In that, the first application is related to the machine gun problems. Machine gun problems. So, important application. The most of the numericals are coming from this application. So, here, what is the machine gun application means? So, by using the machine gun, in generally we are firing the bullets. By using the machine gun, we are firing the bullets. While we are firing the bullets with the help of the machine gun, we have to exert an external force. We have to apply an external force over the machine gun for holding it. Why? Already yesterday in the last class we told recoil of the gun. So whenever the bullet will be leaving from the barrel of the gun will be moving in the backward direction. To oppose the motion of the gun, we need to apply some external force. The same force value we are going to calculate here. So we are assuming that the machine gun will be firing the bullets and the mass of the each bullet is equal to small m, which is a constant value. Any number of the bullets will be fired by the same machine gun, the mass of the each bullet will be remain same. And for a given machine gun, the speed of the bullet which is coming out of the gun is also what? Constant. The speed of the bullet is also what? Constant. Then, what is the force required for holding the machine gun? While it was firing small n number of bullets per second. So, here they mentioned the small n value. What is the small n? Number of bullets fired per second. So, here this is related to the Newton's second law, already we told. So, here small n can be defined as dn by dt, the number of bullets fired per second. So, actually the general formula for the Newton's second law is F is equal to dp by dt. F is equal to what? dp by dt. If one bullet will be fired, its momentum value is equal to what? P is equal to m into v. If n number of bullets will be fired, so its the total momentum value is equal to n into m into v. So, the total momentum of the bullets will be given by what? Capital N into m into v, where capital N is indicating what? Total number of bullets fired. So that according to the Newton's second law, we will write d by dt of n into m into v. d by dt of n into m into v. Here already we told mass of the bullet will be constant and the speed of the bullet is also constant. So that F is equal to mv into dn by dt. dn by dt. Already we assume dn by dt value is equal to what? Small n. So that this formula becomes to what? F is equal to nmv. So this is the formula for the amount of the force is required for holding the machine gun while it was firing n number of bullets per second. So this is the first application of Newton's second law. Now we are going to discuss the second application. What is the second application? A water jet will be coming out of a pipe. And this water jet will be striking the wall by normally. So here a water jet which is coming out of the pipe will be striking normally. So whenever the water jet which is coming out of the pipe will be striking normally, so it is having certain speed, or the speed of the water jet is equal to what? We are assuming small v. Here we consider a pipe is considered whose area of cross section will be assuming as capital A. So that the area of the cross section of the given pipe will be assuming as capital A. And we consider here the water jet, the water itself will be having some density, so that we assume the density of the water is equal to what? D. Now what value we are going to calculate? We are going to calculate the force exerted by the water jet on the vertical wall. So I think for you the theory part of the fluids is completed. Their equation of continuity will be there. So what is the equation of the continuity? The rate of flow of the liquid through a given cross section will be remains constant. That the formula will be given by dm by dt is equal to adv. So what is the formula? This dm by dt, rate of flow of the liquid through the given area of cross section will be given by dm by dt is equal to what? adv. So it is also similar to the variable mass system. For the variable mass system, you know the formula, force F is equal to what? dm by dt into v. Now we are going to calculate the expression for the force whenever the water jet will be strikes the vertical wall and deads. Deads means the water should not rebounces back. After striking the vertical wall, the water does not be bounces back. Just the water will be slides along the length of the wall. So that according to this formula, I will write F is equal to, what is the value of dm by dt? From the equation of the continuity, I will write dm by dt value is equal to what? adv. dv. Again v will be there. Therefore the required expression for the force is equal to what? adv square. This is the case 1. Whenever the water jet will be striking the wall normally and deads, that means the water will be sliding along the length of the wall. At that time, the force exerted by the water jet over the vertical wall will be given by F is equal to adv square. F is equal to what? adv square. In the case 1, what we assume, the water jet will be striking the vertical wall and its deads means the water will be sliding along the length of along the surface of the wall. So in the second case, I am assuming that initially the water jet will be striking the vertical wall with a speed of v. Again the water jet will be bounces back from the surface of the wall with the same speed. This type of application in the last class we discussed in the case of the change in momentum. There what you wrote, whenever the ball will be strikes and deads at the surface of the wall, you wrote P is equal to m into v. Whenever the ball will be bounces back with the same speed, you write that change in momentum is equal to 2 into m into v. Similarly, whenever the water jet will be strikes the wall with a speed v, again it is a bounces back with the same speed again in the backward direction. The force exerted by the water jet over the surface of the wall will be given by F is equal to 2adv square. F is equal to what? 2AD V square. This is the application number 2. Now, in the case 3, so whenever the water jet will be strikes the wall with a speed V, in the previous case we told the water jet will be bounces back in the opposite direction with the same speed. It is not necessary always the water jet will be coming back with the same speed again. So here I am assuming that while it was striking the wall, it will be strikes with a speed of V, and while it was rebounces back from the surface of the wall, the speed of the water jet will be taken as some another velocity that is called as V dash. Now, what is the value of force exerted by the same water jet over the surface of the vertical wall? Over the surface of the vertical wall means F is equal to what? AdV into V plus V dash. Important formula: whenever the water jet will be striking the wall with a speed V and it is a bounces back with the another speed, at that time the force exerted by the water jet over the surface of the vertical wall will be given by F is equal to AdV into V plus V dash. Suppose V dash value equal to V. If V dash value is equal to V, that means this is the second case. What about this value here? Once again we will check AdV into, if V dash value is equal to V, this value is equal to what? 2V. So that what we get the result? AdV square. That means this formula will be verified. That means whenever the striking speed will be different and the rebounding speed will be different, the force exerted by the water jet is equal to what? AdV into V plus V dash. And another case is what? Here we are assuming that a water jet will be strikes the vertical wall. With a speed of V, and which is making an angle theta, with respect to the wall, and it is a bounces back with the same speed again by making same angle with respect to the wall. In this case also we have to calculate what is the force exerted by the water jet over the given vertical wall. Similar case we discussed in the case of the change in momentum. There you wrote the formula delta P is equal to 2mv sin theta. So here also whenever the water jet will be strikes the vertical wall with a speed V and bounces back with the same speed by making the same angle with the vertical wall, so the force exerted by the water jet over the vertical wall will be given by F is equal to 2AdV square into sin theta. The cos components will be getting cancelled. Its cos component will be acting in this direction. Its cos component will be acting in the opposite direction. Hence, they will be getting cancelled, so that only you are getting the sin components only. So this is the application number 2. Next, the third application is what? The third application, conveyor belt. The third application is what? Conveyor belt. In generally, at the mines, we will observe the conveyor belts. Over that conveyor belt, a gravel will be falling from the top. So, whenever the gravel will be falling over the conveyor belt, so this is the conveyor belt which is moving like this. Whenever the gravel will be falling over the surface of the conveyor belt, actually its speed will be decreases. Whenever over the given moving object some additional load will be added, its speed value in generally will be decreases. But we want to keep the speed of the conveyor belt will be constant. For that purpose, we need to apply some external force. So here we are assuming that a gravel or sand will be falling over the conveyor belt at a rate of dm by dt. What is the dm by dt? The rate at which either sand or gravel will be falling vertically over the conveyor belt, and even though the gravel will be falling over the conveyor belt, I want to run the conveyor belt with a constant speed v, with a constant speed v. At that time, what extra force I have to apply to maintain the same speed means whatever the extra force we maintain for the conveyor belt to keep its velocity or speed will be remain same means F is equal to dm by dt into v. Extra force is required to run the conveyor belt with the same speed will be given by F extra force is equal to dm by dt into v, where v is the speed of the conveyor belt and the dm by dt is indicating the rate at which the gravel will be falling over the conveyor belt. It is the another application of Newton's second law. Application is either a metallic disc or a metallic plate. See here, we assume a metallic disc will be there whose mass is equal to capital M. What we consider here? We consider a metallic disc will be there and whose mass is equal to what? Capital M. And where this metallic disc will be placed? The metallic disc will be placed in the mid-air. So it is impossible to place any one of the object in the mid-air. Why? Due to its weight, the weight of the disc will be acting in the downward direction. Due to its weight, the disc will be falling in the downward direction. But I want to keep the metallic disc in the mid-air only. So what is our aim here? We consider one metallic disc whose mass is equal to what? Capital M, and its weight will be always acting in the downward direction. How to keep the metallic disc in the mid-air? So without any support we can't place the disc in the mid-air. For that purpose, what we are doing, from the ground we are firing the bullets. Towards the metallic disc. So by firing the bullets with the help of a gun, I want to keep the metallic disc in the mid-air only. So what is the application here? We consider one metallic disc that is actually placed in the mid-air. Without any support, I want to keep the metallic disc in the mid-air. For that purpose, what I want to do is I have to balancing the weight of the disc. So for that purpose, by using a machine gun or any one of the gun, I am firing the number of bullets. So with the help of the bullets, I want to supply some external momentum to the disc. As a result, it will be keeps stationary in the mid-air. So here case 1 is, in the case 1, we are firing the bullets. These bullets will be strikes the metallic disc. And dead. That means the striking bullets, once the bullets will be strikes the metallic disc, they will be embedded into the metallic disc. They will be inside the metallic disc only. They should not falling backwards. So like that we assumed here. So whenever the bullet will be strikes the metallic disc and deads, at that time what amount of force we have to exert, with the help of the given gun is, so here whenever the bullet will be striking the given metallic disc and the deads, already we wrote one formula. What is that formula? F is equal to NMU. What is F is equal to NMU? To fire n number of bullets per second, what amount of force we have to exerted on the machine gun is means F is equal to NMU. The same force we applied over the metallic disc, by firing the number of the bullets, for balancing its weight, so that the force which is provided by the machine gun, to keep the disc in the equilibrium in the mid air is given by F is equal to what? Nmu. This force only balancing the weight of the metallic disc. Therefore, whenever the bullets will be dead according to the first application, the applied force value is equal to weight of the disc. Applied force is equal to what? Weight of the disc. Therefore, F is equal to Nmu we know, and weight of the disc is equal to what? Mg. Weight of the disc is equal to what? Mg. So this is a case 1 in the case of the metallic disc. Now, according to the case 2, once the bullet will be striking the metallic disc, again they will be bounces back with the same speed. So at that time, the extra force that is provided by the machine gun is equal to 2 MNu. So whenever the bullet will be reverses back in the opposite direction with the same speed, the change in momentum will be doubled. Whenever the change in momentum will be doubled, the force is also to be doubled, so that whenever the bullets will be strikes the metallic disc and they will be returned back with the same speed again, the amount of the force exerted by the machine gun over the metallic disc in terms of the bullets will be given by F is equal to what? 2 MNu. In this case also, the disc will be in the state of the rest, in the state of the equilibrium, so that the applied force again balances the weight of the metallic disc. Applied force will be again balancing the weight of the disc. Therefore, we will write weight of the disc is equal to 2 Nmu, or Mg is equal to what? 2 Nmu. So these are the applications which are related with the Newton's second law. The next application is the important one, impulse. Already in the theory also it is covered. What is the impulse? So whenever a large amount of the force is acting over a bodies, for the fraction of time, for a very short time interval, that forces will be causing the change in momentum. Such a type of force we are calling as impulsive force. So here impulse will be denoted with the symbol of capital J. Impulse is denoted with what symbol? Capital J. Therefore, impulse will be defined as it is the product of the impulse force, that is a large force into time interval. So how can we define the impulse? Means it is the product of the impulse force and time interval. According to the Newton's second law, we wrote F is equal to ma. F is equal to what? Ma. So acceleration is equal to what? V is equal to u plus at formula you know. From this acceleration value is equal to, we will be write as v minus u by t. So here from this equation I will write F into t is equal to what? M into v minus u. F into t is equal to what? M into v minus u. Already in the definition of the impulse we told, whenever a large amount of the force will be acting over a body for the short time interval, that will be produces the change in momentum. Change in momentum. Therefore, impulse is equal to J bar. So impulse is the vector quantity. Impulse J bar is equal to, we will write F bar into t, where F bar is the force vector and t is the scalar, and which is equal to m into v bar minus u bar. So this is the expression for the impulse. What is the impulse here? Impulse will be defined as the product of the impulse force and time interval. So force into time is equal to what? M into V minus U. This M into V minus U will be calling as change in momentum. Change in momentum. So here the impulse value will be is nothing but what? Change in momentum. Impulse is nothing but change in momentum. What the formula you wrote for the impulse? You wrote J bar is equal to F into T. Here F is a what? Here F stands for constant force. F stands for what? Constant force. What is the meaning of the constant force? Its magnitude will be constant. Its magnitude will be constant. If the magnitude of the force will be changes, such a type of force is called what? Variable force. Variable force. So for the variable force, we have to calculate the impulse value. For the variable force, we have to calculate the impulse value. For the variable force value are going to calculating the impulse, we must consider the integration. Why we consider the integration? Here the force value will be constant. That's why directly you substitute the formula J is equal to F into T. But whenever the force value changes with respect to the time, to calculate the impulse, you must specify I am calculating the impulse value from this time interval to this particular time interval only. That's why you have to specify the limits of the force. Limits of the force. For that, we have to consider the integration. So we know that according to the Newton's second law, F bar is equal to what? dP bar by dt. Change in momentum. F is equal to what? dP by dt. Already you know that impulse is nothing but what? Change in momentum value. Impulse is nothing but what? Change in momentum. Therefore, it is nothing but F bar into dt. F bar into dt. Here we told that the force value will be the variable force, so that to get the total impulse value, we must consider the integration and we have to specify the limits of the time interval, so that integral t1 to t2 f of t into dt, integral t1 to t2 f of t dt, where f of t is representing what? The force is a variable function of time, so that J is equal to integral t1 to t2 f of t dt. This is the formula for the impulse when you consider the force will be the variable force. If you draw a graph between the force as well as the time, if you draw a graph between the force as well as the time. Why? Here already you told that the force is a variable function. The force is a what? Variable function of time. So that if you draw a graph between the force and time interval, so this is the graph. The area bounded by this graph, the area bounded by the force time graph will be giving the impulse value. The area bounded by force time interval is equal to what? Impulse value. Already we know in the basics, for any one of the graph, area value will be given by the physical quantity will be represented along the x-axis. X-axis of physical quantity into y-axis of physical quantity. Area of any one of the graph is equal to what? Whatever the physical quantity you taken along the x-axis into the physical quantity along the y-axis. So here the physical quantity taken along the y-axis is equal to what? F, and the physical quantity taken along the x-axis is equal to what? T. Therefore, area is equal to F into T. So what is the F into T here? F into T is nothing but change in momentum. Therefore, the area value is equal to change in momentum, which is equal to what? Impulse, which is equal to what? Impulse. Because of this reason, we will say the area under the FT graph will be giving what? Impulse. Area of any one of the graph is equal to what? It is a product of the physical quantities which we are taken along the x-axis as well as the y-axis. The physical quantity along the y-axis is equal to force. The physical quantity along the x-axis is equal to what? Time. Therefore, their product is equal to F into T, so that area value is equal to F into T value is equal to what? Change in momentum. The change in momentum is nothing but impulse. So that the area bounded by the FT graph will be giving what? Impulse only. So this is about what? Impulse. FBD, free body diagram, very important. Most of the numericals related with the Newton laws of motion is relates with the concept of free body diagram. So what is the free body diagram? The free body diagram represents all different forces acting over a given object. So what is the free body diagram will be tells? The free body diagram represents the all different forces which are acting over a given object. So that is calling as free body diagram. See, let us consider one example. I consider an object is placed over the horizontal surface. Object will be placed over the horizontal surface. We consider the mass of the given object is equal to what? Small m. Simply they ask, draw the free body diagram of a given object of mass m. So what we told in the definition of the FBD, the FBD will be representing all the forces which are acting on a given object. So here we separate the object. What is this? This is the object which is having a mass of small m. So here I am taking the object, its mass is equal to m. Its mass is equal to what? M. So FBD of free body diagram of mass. That means for whom you are drawing the free body diagram, you consider that particular object only. You didn't consider the horizontal surface. For which body you are going to draw the free body diagram, that particular body only you have to take in. So here I want to draw the free body diagram for the given body of mass m. So whenever the object is placed over the horizontal surface, its weight will be acting in the downward direction. What is the weight? Gravitational pull that is acting on the given body. So mg is the force that is exerted by the gravitational force over the given body. So that mg belongs to the given body only. So I represent one of the force that is acting over the given body. This force is acting over the given body due to the gravitational force. Due to which force? Gravitational force. Next, whenever the object is placed over the horizontal surface, this object bottom surface and the surface of the table or the surface of the ground will be in physical contact. Whenever two objects will be in physical contact, between them contact forces will be developed. Already I told two types of contact forces will be there. One is called frictional force, another one is called what? Normal reaction. Here we didn't discussing about the concept of the friction. That's why here we assume all the surfaces are smooth. All the surfaces are the smooth means there is no meaning of friction. So here whenever this body will be in contact with this surface, the surface will be exerting an upward force over the given body. So that over the given body, one normal reaction force will be acting, or one normal force is acting in the upward direction. So this normal force will be exerted by whom? This normal force will be exerted by the normal force will be exerted by the surface of the table. So if you look at the diagram, over this object of mass small m, only two forces are acting. One is weight of the body that is acting in the downward direction, which was caused by the gravitational force, and another contact force will be there that is caused by the surface of the table. So that over the given object, two different forces will be there. So if you represent the forces like this particular diagram we are calling as free body diagram. So whenever multiple objects will be there, to represent the free body diagram more easily, so I will represent like this. The total body, whatever the mass you consider, that total mass will be taken as a dot. That means its mass is equal to m, and over this object one force will be acting in the downward direction, that is represented by mg in the downward direction, and over the same object another force will be acting in the upward direction, so the another force will be acting in the upward direction, so that is represented by capital N. So here the body will be in the state of the rest. The body will be in the state of the rest. So whenever the body will be in the state of the rest, we equate the sum of the upward forces is equal to sum of the downward forces. So that I will write here N is equal to mg. N is equal to what? Mg. What is the N here? Normal reaction which was exerted by the surface of the table. Which was exerted by the surface of the table. This normal reaction will be balancing the weight of the object. That a normal reaction will be balancing the weight of the object. As a result, whenever the object will be in the stationary or in the state of the equilibrium, we write N is equal to mg. Like this, we have to draw free body diagrams for a given objects. Very, very important. The representation of the free body diagram in the Newton laws of motion is very, very, very important. If you didn't understand this in free body diagrams, it is very difficult to solve the numericals. Okay, this is the first example. Now, we will see the second example of the free body diagram. So here, a rigid support we consider. From the rigid support, a string will be suspended. At the bottom end of the string, we connect a body of mass m, like a simple pendulum. A string will be there, rigid support will be there, and a pendulum bob will be in the state of the rest. Now, I want to draw the free body diagram for the pendulum bob. Free body diagram for the pendulum bob. I am assuming that the mass of the pendulum bob is equal to small m. Mass of the pendulum bob is equal to what? Small m. If you see here, this pendulum bob will be connected with the help of the light string. With the help of the light string. So here in the Newton laws of motion again, when they mentioned the light string means the mass of the string is negligible. The mass of the given string is what? Negligible. So it is a very, very important. Whenever the light string is given, at each and every point along the length of the string, the tension value will be remain same. In the last class also I told, whenever any one of the object will be suspended from the rigid support with the help of a string or a thread, within that string tension will be develops. And what is the direction of the tension? The direction of the tension is acting away from the point of contact. If you look at the diagram, the tension is acting away from the body, and whenever any one of the body will be suspended due to the gravitational field, gravitational pull will be acting in the downward direction. So that whenever you consider a metallic bob or a pendulum bob, over the pendulum bob, how many forces are acting here? Two different forces are acting. Here, one of the forces is nothing but weight, that is acting in the downward direction, and the another force is acting in the upward direction, that is nothing but tension. So we will draw the FBD of small m. So draw the object, its mass is equal to m, its mass is equal to what? M, and over the mass, weight will be acting in the downward direction, and over the mass, tension will be also acting, that is acting in the upward direction. So already I represent. The another way for representing the FBD is, so which is similar to the, so I represent the object with the dot. Over the object, one downward force will be acting, one upward force will be acting, and moreover the object will be in the state of the equilibrium. What is the meaning of the equilibrium? Net force acting on the object. So whenever the object will be said to be in the state of the equilibrium, so we will write the upward force is balanced by the downward force. Upward pulling force will be balanced by the downward pulling force. T is equal to what? Mg. Like this, whatever the application, whatever the situation they given, first we have to draw the free body diagram. So a ball resting over the V-shaped groove. So whenever such type of applications they mentioned, so they are asking that simply draw the FPD of given application. So whenever the object will be in contact with the another surface, between the given object and the another contact surface, which forces will be arises? Contact forces will be arises. Out of them, already we discussed the normal reaction. So how the normal reaction will be drawn? Always the normal reaction will be drawn perpendicular to the surface of the contact. Suppose if you consider the horizontal surface, the normal reaction will be drawn perpendicular to the surface of the contact. Because the surface, while you are drawing the normal reaction, that a normal reaction must be passing through the center of gravity of the given object. So here in this given application, this ball will be in contact with the two different surfaces. So whenever the spherical ball will be in contact with any one of the surface, first you identify the point of contact. So here P1 comma P2 will be indicating the point of contact of the given ball, with respect to the V-shaped groove. Now already we know that the normal reaction will be acting perpendicular to the surface of the contact. Here what we will tell, we draw the normal reaction, which is passing through the point of contact. The normal reaction will be passing through what? Point of contact. So this is representing what? Normal reaction for the point of contact of P1, and here this surface is also exerting another normal reaction, that is nothing but N2. So here this N1 comma N2 will be passing through the center of the spherical shell. Like this we have to draw the FBD of different cases. The next concept is equilibrium. So when we will said an object will be in equilibrium means, if the net force acting over a given object will be is equal to 0, then we will said the object will be in the state of the equilibrium. So what is the net force? If you consider the object will be placed in the two-dimensional plane, so over that object, so some of the force will be acting along the x-axis as well as some of the force will be acting along the y-axis also. If any one of the object will be said to be in the state of the rest, simply we will write the sum of all the forces will be is equal to what? 0. That means what? The sum of all the forces along the x-axis is equal to 0. The sum of all the forces along the y-axis will be is equal to 0, and the sum of all the forces which are acting along the z-axis are also to be equal to 0. Then only we will said the object will be in the state of the equilibrium. Once again, how can we define the state of the equilibrium? Means whenever a body will be said to be in the state of the equilibrium, the net force acting on the given object is equal to what? 0. The net force acting on the given object will be is equal to 0 is also to be represented as sigma f is equal to 0. So whenever the forces are acting in multiple directions, we will say the sum of the forces along the x-axis is equal to 0 as well as sum of the forces along the y-axis will be is equal to 0. Again, the sum of the forces which are acting along the z-axis also equal to 0. Then only we will say the object will be in the state of the rest. So if the object will be in the state of the rest, you told that the net force acting on the object is equal to 0. The net force acting on the object is equal to what? 0. If the net force acting on the object is equal to 0, according to the Newton's second law definition, F is equal to dP by dt, that value also is equal to 0. That value also is equal to 0. If dP by dt value is equal to 0 means what? The momentum value will be constant. The momentum value will be constant. If the momentum value will be constant, there is no meaning of a change in momentum. That's why acceleration of the system is also equal to 0. Whenever the momentum will be constant, there is no change in momentum will be existing. Whenever there is no change in momentum will be existing, as a result, the acceleration of the system will be is equal to 0. So from this also we will tell, if any one of the object will be in the state of the rest, it's a force value. The total force acting on the system is equal to 0. That implies, if the total force acting on the system is equal to 0 implies the acceleration of the system is also equal to 0. The acceleration of the system is also what? 0. So this is the condition for the equilibrium. This is the condition for the equilibrium. Suppose an object will be there. Over the object, two different forces are acting. In opposite direction. So we consider one object, and the object is placed on the horizontal surface. Over the given object, two different forces are acting in opposite direction. If these two forces are keeping the object in the state of the equilibrium, their magnitudes must be same. The magnitudes of the two forces will be equal to what? Same. So to keep the object in equilibrium, the minimum number of equal amount of forces are required will be 2. To keep the object in the state of the equilibrium, what are the minimum number of equal forces are required means 2. So whenever two equal forces are acting on the object in the opposite direction, the system will be in the state of the equilibrium. So in this case, what is the angle between the two forces? The angle between the two forces is equal to 180 degrees. The angle between the two equal forces which are keeping the object in the state of the equilibrium is equal to how much? 180 degrees. Simply you know that if two different forces will be there, if they will be acting in the opposite direction, so what is the angle between these two forces is equal to what? 180 we will say. Suppose I consider the another object. So over the another object, equal amount of the forces will be acting. In different directions. And all these forces are keeping the same object in the state of the equilibrium. At that time, I want to calculate the angle between any two adjacent forces. For that, a formula will be there. Theta is equal to 360 by n. Theta is equal to what? 360 by n. When we apply this formula, when equal forces are acting simultaneously over a given object, and also they will be keeping the object in the state of the equilibrium, at that time, the angle between any two adjacent forces will be given by theta is equal to how much? 360 by n. Theta is equal to how much? 360 by n. So this is the another important application in the case of the equilibrium condition. The remaining applications in the next class we will discuss.